Hi, for this activity we're going to go over some of the trigonometric functions. You're going to be able to work with them and find a graph where you see each trigonometric function. So for this we are going to start working with the 6 trigonometric functions, simple trigonometric functions like sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, secant, and cosecant. Okay? Now, each of these trigonometric functions has a formula, and it's a very simple formula that you've used throughout your high school. So the function of each one would be a times sine, if we're going to use the sine function, times bx, right? bx plus c. Okay? So this would be a function that we're going to use in our program or in our spreadsheet. Okay? Plus d if we're going to move it across. So each of them has a different trigonometric value. Cosine in Excel will be cosine, exactly the same. Tangent, in Excel you won't get tangent, but if you need tangent, it's very simple. Remember identities, the trigonometric identities, and tangent is just sine over cosine, right? This would be tangent. And cotangent will be cosine over sine. Okay? So when we do the formulas, you just have to make this over the other thing and so on and so forth to get it. If you need secant, it's the inverse of cosine, so it's 1 over cosine. And cosecant will be 1 over sine. Okay? Just so you remember some of the identities that we have used. So in Excel, we need to create space for A, B, C, and D, of course. So we're going to create those 3, and let's see what happens. Okay? So if we go to Excel, first of all, let's leave this row empty for the name of our function. Then I'm going to write here angle, and of course the function. Now the angles that I'm going to use will be by tens, okay? It's an easier way, and we have to go all the way to 360 or to pi. Okay, so we go all the way to 360. Okay, so 360. Remember that in order to display this, you don't have to write down all the numbers. You select the first 2 and then hold the click and drag all the way to 360 when you get this black cross in the bottom right of your cell. So we're going to need A, B, C, and D. Basically we need those 4 variables in our function. Okay? So here I'm going to write the formula for the first function. So it would be A times, would be B4 times sine, and you can see it. You can see hyperbolic sine and the simple sine of B times the angle. But this is the angle in degrees. So I need in order to get my graph correct, in order to see everything, I need the angle in radians. So I'm going to use a conversion that says radians. Right? Radians, or in Spanish will be radianes. If you're using your Excel in Spanish, it's radians, and then I will choose the angle. Okay, I'll close this. Plus C Okay, I close this, plus, of course, D. Okay, and before I press enter, none of these values are going to change. In Excel, when you want to drag the same formula for many values, these values, the computer thinks that he wants to also extend these values for the others. So there are the only value that will be changing is B2, B3, B4, B5, but these values like B4, B5, B6, and B7 will not be changing. The ones that are going to change are B2, C2, D2, E2, and F2. That's I just corrected. Okay, so before we add the money sign in front of the letter and the money sign in front of the number. Also for B5, also for B6, and also for B7. Those values are not going to change. Okay, now I get a 0 because I don't have any values here. So now I'm going to extend this formula for all the values across. Extend the 0 all the way to 360, and then I'm going to start adding the values. So A, in my formula, A would be 1. If we want to do sine of x, say we want to do sine of x, A would be 1, B would be 1, C will be 0, and D will be 0. So A will be 1, B will be 1, C will be 0, and D will be 0. Okay? So this is what we get. Now you can see that we're getting the values of the function. It's true that 90 is 1. So you can see that you have the values from 0, from 10, 20 as an angle, and 90 is a 1. So you get in sine, the 90 will give you a 1, it's 1 in 90 and minus 1 in 270 degrees. So now we're going to graph this really quick so you can see what I'm talking about. So you go to the Insert tab and create a scatter plot. Okay? But first, you select, including the titles or the labels, include the label of angle and the label of the function. So you go all the way to 360, select both rows, go to charts, and insert a scatter chart. Okay? You can see it like this. It's pretty smooth. And you can start changing the variables. Start changing, if you change, let's say, the frequency, which is B, choose the frequency, you see that the sine function changes. If you add a number to C, it just moves the graph left to right. If you move D, it just moves the graph up and down. So this is really interesting, changing the values of the graph. Now for A, remember, is the height or the amplitude of the function. So if you change it to 5, then I just make it bigger or smaller. Okay? So this is a really nice program to see all your trig functions and understand them. Your task is to develop cosine, tangent, secant, cosecant, and cotangent. Okay? Remember that, for the ones that don't remember, your 10th grade trig class. And okay, good luck.